Sugar cookies are one of those classic desserts that you pull out and make for every holiday, or just, at least once a week if you're at my house. If you've been searching for the perfect recipe all of these years, you can now stop your search. I've got it for you. What is up, you guys? It is Karli here, and you are officially cooking with Karli. And today we are talking about one of my favorite things to make, sugar cookies. They are soft, they're chewy, they hold their shape when they bake, and guess what? There's no chill time. Really, you can mix this dough up, roll it out, cut it, and toss it in the oven. Let's talk about our ingredients here. Yeah, there's only 6 ingredients in this whole sugar cookie recipe. We're talking butter. I always use salted butter because that's what I keep on hand. White sugar, just granulated sugar, an egg, vanilla, baking powder, and flour. That's it. The cookies themselves are to die for. Let's get making them. First, we take our softened butter and toss them in our mixer. And you don't have to have a mixer to make this recipe. You can do this with an electric hand mixer. You don't need to have a stand mixer. 2 sticks of butter going in. That equals 1 cup. And we are looking for equal parts sugar and butter. So we've got 1 cup of sugar here. Let's mix this together, and we're going to mix this for about 2 minutes. We want this light and fluffy. And that phrase light and fluffy gets thrown around a lot with cookie baking, and the light is actually referring to the color of the mixture. If you mix it long enough, the color of the mixture will get light and it will be really fluffy. When your 2 minutes is up, let's just scrape the sides of the bowl so that way our egg and vanilla, when they go in, can get mixed together with all of this butter and sugar. So 1 egg and 2 teaspoons vanilla go in to the bowl. I'm gonna set that there. Let's mix this up thoroughly until everything is nice and combined. Once that is mixed, our dry ingredients go in. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder, whoa, and 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And let's mix. Start on low or else your flour will fly everywhere. And we're just going to mix until this dough comes together. It's going to look slightly crumbly as you're mixing, and you're going to think, I don't have enough liquid in here. Just keep mixing. It will come together, and it should be soft and feel like a brand new can of Play-Doh. You should be able to roll it very easily. It should not be dry and crumbly. If it is dry and crumbly, it could be because of your climate, actually. If you live in a super dry area, you may need to add a teaspoon or 2 of water to your dough to get it the right consistency. Same goes the other way around too. If you live in a super humid climate, your dough might be a little too wet, so you might need to add a teaspoon or 2 of flour to get that nice Play-Doh consistency. So you can see how this dough has come together. It's no longer crumbly, and it's nice and soft like Play-Doh should be. Let's flour our countertop and get to rolling out. One thing that you need to keep in mind with these cookies is that whatever thickness you roll your dough out to before you use your cookie cutters, that is how thick your cookies are going to end up being. They won't rise, they won't spread in the oven. The only thing they'll do in the oven is puff up just the tiniest bit. So instead of being completely flat, they kind of just breathe and puff up just slightly. So if you want a nice thick sugar cookie, make sure to roll that dough nice and thick. That will affect the bake time. I like my cookies on the thicker side, so I am going to roll this out until it is in between like 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch thick. While I'm getting this rolled out, if you haven't already, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button and the notification bell so you do not miss any of my upcoming videos. And comment below and tell me what your favorite cookie cutter is. Is it weird to have a favorite cookie cutter? My favorite is my carrot cookie cutter. I think it is so cute, and I make carrot sugar cookies every year for Easter. I've got the dough to the thickness that I like, and I have a couple different cookie cutters here just so I can show you that they really don't change shape. They hold their shape really well. Majority, I'm just going to use my circle, which I use a lot, but I love this flour too. We're just going to push down to cut the cookie dough. Now, one of the most common questions I get about this recipe is how many sugar cookies does this recipe make? And that is honestly a really hard question to answer because it depends on so many things. The size of your cookie cutter, how thick you roll your dough out. So many things, so many factors go into how many cookies this makes. I would say that it makes about 24 medium-sized cookies. One of the biggest complaints I hear about making sugar cookies is that the first batch comes out amazing, and then every batch after that just tastes like flour. I have the perfect fix for this. Let's transfer these to our cookie sheet, and I'm gonna tell you that trick. Like I said at the beginning of the video, these cookies won't spread, so it's okay to put them pretty close together on your pan. The reason why people complain that sugar cookies, the second batch of sugar cookies, tastes like flour is because before we roll out the dough, we flour the counter and we put flour on top, and then we roll it out, and all of that extra flour gets pushed into our cookie dough. And then the second batch, you do the same thing. You gather it together, you flour your counter, and then you flour the top of your dough and you push it out. And so you just keep adding more and more flour to your dough, and it gets stiffer and stiffer. So my trick is to gather all of our scraps here in the center and actually go and wet your hands in the sink and get them pretty damp, and then knead the dough again. And that water from your hands will offset the extra flour, and you'll have great, easy dough to work with that tastes amazing yet again. Depending on how much flour you've added, you may have to wet your hands a couple of times to get it to that right consistency again. Just remember that consistency from the beginning. We're trying to get it back to that Play-Doh-like consistency so it's not too dry. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. It's getting much better now. We're going to roll out the dough again and repeat cutting them out with cookie cutters until we have run out of cookie dough to work with. Let's go toss these in the oven. We're going to bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and the cook time actually kind of varies because if you have a super small cookie, that's not going to take as long as a nice big thick cookie like these round ones. So the key to your perfect sugar cookie is to watch them, and once they puff up and they're no longer glossy on top, you'll know that is when you should take them out of the oven. I always set my timer for about 7 to 8 minutes, and then I start checking them every minute or so until they've puffed up and they're no longer glossy. If you have an oven light, just turn that oven light on and you can peek through the glass and watch to see when they puff up, and then you can start checking them that way too. These look like whales. The cookies are looking really good in the oven. I'm going to go grab them out so I can show you them fresh out of the oven, how they've puffed up and they're not glossy on the top anymore. Here we go. Here are our cookies. You can see how they did not spread hardly at all. They've just kind of puffed up slightly. Our sugar cookies are out of the oven. They are cool, and it is time to frost them. Make up a batch of sugar cookie frosting. If you're needing a great sugar cookie frosting recipe, I've got one at my website, www.cookingwithkarli.com. They should be soft to the touch and absolutely delicious. I'm really excited to eat these. I'm going to frost a few of these really fast and get to eating one, honestly. One of my favorite ways to decorate sugar cookies is just by putting white frosting on and sprinkling the frosting with a few sprinkles. I don't know about you, but you can never have too many sprinkles in your life. They just make me happy. The sugar cookies are so soft. They're delicious. They actually keep well at room temperature for quite a few days, 3 or 4 days if they last that long. Mine usually don't. Next time you are needing a sugar cookie recipe for any occasion, make sure you use mine. Simple, fast, easy, and absolutely delicious.